Hello friends, welcome to the third lecture of this week where we are looking to wrap up this topic of properties of pure substances. Over last two lectures we started with the definition of pure substance where by now we know that here by the term pure substance we are actually talking about a substance which is having uniform chemical composition throughout the domain of our interest. And then we have discussed about different characteristics of the pure substance, particularly in relevance with the phase change processes. Now, primarily a substance can have three kinds of phases: solid, liquid and gaseous. However, liquid to gaseous or gaseous to liquid phase change is the most relevant one in relation with the thermal and fluid industries, and therefore, we have discussed about different possible phases, different kinds of physical states that we can identify in relation with a liquid to vapor or vapor to liquid phase change, thereby primarily identifying three different regimes: a compressed liquid regime, a superheated vapor regime and a saturated liquid vapor mixture regime. And in the previous lecture we have discussed about the use of thermodynamic property tables to identify or calculate the properties in relation with each of the three regimes, how we can identify a substance or a state to belong to which kind of regime just from the knowledge of its pressure and temperature or any other relevant properties, or as per the phase rule if we know any of the two independent intrinsic properties, then with the use of these two property values and in conjunction with the property tables, how can we identify the regime, and then once we have identified the regime, how we can get the values of the properties using the tables that we have discussed in detail, and we have also solved numerical problems on that. We have also talked about two most important point in relation with or two most important state points in relation with this liquid vapor phase change. One is the critical point, which serves as some kind of distinction between condensable and non-condensable phases of the vapor state, whereas we have also talked about the triple point, which refers to a situation where all the three phases can be in equilibrium with each other. Today, to start with, we shall again be solving another numerical problem. We have already solved quite a few in the previous lecture, but I would like to solve another one which is a quite involved one, particularly involves the concept of exergy. As during the first module, during the review of thermodynamic principles, we have not solved any problem related to exergy which involves the pure substance. So, I would like to do this one, and this also will show you the use of different kind of property tables as usual. So, just read the problem carefully. Here we are talking about a piston cylinder device which is containing 0.05 kg of steam. Now, one term you have to be careful here, we are using the term steam. It may refer to the liquid phase, it may refer to the vapor phase. Similarly, if we use the term water, that can also refer to the liquid phase or vapor phase. Generally, the term steam is used in relation with superheated vapor, but not necessarily, and similarly if we are using just water, that does not mean it is liquid, it can be the vapor phase also, because the chemical composition is the same, that is H2O only. Now, here the initial state is 1 megapascal and 300 degree Celsius. So, let us summarize. For P1 we have the pressure to be 1 megapascal and T1 to be equal to 300 degree Celsius. Ideally, we would like to convert this one to SI units, but most of the thermodynamic tables actually list the temperature in terms of Celsius. So, we can stick with this 300 degree Celsius. And at the steam now expands to a final state of 200 kilopascal and 150 degree Celsius. So, your state 2 involves a pressure P2 of 200 kilopascal. You have to be very careful about this unit. In first case it is megapascal, in the second case it is kilopascal, and the second temperature is 150 degree Celsius. Heat lost to the surrounding during the process is estimated to be 2 kilojoule. So, as the steam is expanding from state 1 to state 2, 2 kilojoule of heat is being lost or being transferred from system to the surrounding. Considering a surrounding of 100 kilopascal and 25 degree Celsius, determine the exergy destruction during the process. So, during the process we have this as your reference state 100 kilopascal and 25 degree Celsius. But before going to the reference state, let us look at the two states. State 1 is 1 megapascal and 300 degree Celsius. Now, which regime this should belong to, compressed liquid or superheated vapor or maybe a mixture, that we can identify by using these two values. Now, how to do that? You know this, like if we just fix up the pressure for 1 megapascal, we have to identify the corresponding temperature. So, here I have the glimpse of the corresponding superheated vapor table corresponding to 1 megapascal, and there you can see the corresponding saturation temperature is 179 degree Celsius or 179.88 degree Celsius. This T1 is greater than Tsat. So, your T1 is greater than Tsat corresponding to P1, that means it is superheated. So, we are dealing with superheated vapor. So, we need to make use of the superheated vapor table. So, this is the table for 1 megapascal and temperature is 300 degree Celsius. So, this is the block that we are talking about. Here of course, the headers are missing, but I can summarize the header here. It is temperature in Celsius, this is your specific volume, this is internal energy, this is enthalpy, this is entropy or specific enthalpy and specific entropy, all in here U and H are in kilojoule per kg, S in kilojoule per kg Kelvin, and specific volume is in meter cube per kg, the basic SI unit. So, here you have the all the related property values at state 1, V1, U1, H1, S1, all you can note from here. So, we have V1, U1, H1 and S1. Similarly, for state 2, this is your state 2, 200 kilopascal and 150 degree Celsius. So, in the first case, from the use of the term steam, we can still identify here we are talking about probably either of superheated vapor or at the most saturated vapor, but the second phase we do not know anything about it, and also nothing is given about the nature of the process. So, let us check 200 kilopascal and corresponding saturation temperature. So, corresponding 200 kilopascal or 0.2 megapascal, the saturation temperature is 120.21 degree Celsius. So, your T2, it is again greater than the saturation temperature corresponding to P2. So, incidentally this phase 2 is also, or state point 2 is also a superheated one. So, 0.2 megapascal or 200 kilopascal, 150 degree Celsius. So, similarly this is the data set that we are talking about. So, from here you can get all the properties for state 2 as well. So, we have V2, U2, H2 and S2, all are known to us, and it is also given the mass of the steam is 0.05 kg, and from the language that is used in a question we can easily say that we are dealing actually with a closed system, because so that the mass remains constant. So, now we have to look at the surrounding, which is 100 kilopascal and 25 degree Celsius. The surrounding is generally taken as the reference state while dealing with exergy calculation. So, we can identify this P naught to be equal to 100 kilopascal and T naught to be equal to 25 degree Celsius. Now, which state this one should belong to? If you are having your water at this particular condition, which state this should belong? 100 kilopascal is quite close to the atmospheric pressure is 101.3 kilopascal. So, 100 kilopascal you can easily say that this corresponding saturation temperature definitely will be higher than 25 degree Celsius. Actually, the saturation temperature Tsat corresponding to this P naught is roughly equal to 99.61 degree Celsius, which is greater than this T naught. So, which state this one belong to? This is of, here the temperature is lower than the saturation temperature corresponding to the pressure. So, we are talking about compressed liquid. So, corresponding to the compressed liquid state, we can get all the relevant properties, like corresponding U naught will be equal to UF at this T naught, your V naught will be equal to Vf at T naught. Similarly, we can get H naught and S naught as well. So, we now know all the properties, property value at state 1, property value at state 2, and also the property value corresponding to the reference condition of 100 kilopascal and 25 degree Celsius. Now, we have to determine the exergy destroyed during the process. Now, how much will be the exergy corresponding to state 1? We can easily calculate that x1, if that belongs to the exergy at state 1, how much will be that? And that will be mass into if you can remember, that is fine, otherwise you can refer to our first week, the module 1, the 4th lecture of module 1, or you can refer to the textbook. Here we are talking about a closed system. So, for a closed system, the specific exergy will be U minus U naught plus P naught into V minus V naught minus T naught into S minus S naught, and then you are multiplying with the mass to give the value of the total exergy of the system at state 1. You have all the property values here, means for state 1 and state 2 I have already shown the table. For state the reference state you can get it from any standard database, and if you do the calculation, your x 1 is going to be coming approximately 35 kilojoule. Similarly, how much will be x 2? Your x 2 will be again mass into the same, we can calculate the exergy for state 2, that is okay. For state 1 actually you have to put the subscript u 1, v 1 and s 1. Similarly, for state 2 it will be u 2 minus u naught plus p naught into v 2 minus v naught minus t naught into s 2 minus s naught, and that will be coming to be equal to 20.5.4 kilojoule. So, delta x, the change in exergy of the system over the process, should be equal to x 2 minus x 1, which is how much will be minus 9.6 kilojoule. So, exergy of the system has decreased during the process, but we are talking about exergy destruction and not exergy decrease. To get the exergy destruction, now we have to calculate the total amount of work done by the system during the process. Now, how much is the work that has been done by the system? How can you calculate that? We know we have information about state 1 and 2, and we also know about the heat transfer. Then we can use the first law of thermodynamics, that is del Q minus del W is equal to dE for any general system, general closed system. So, for in this particular case, heat is being lost to the surrounding, or we can write Q 1 to 2 minus W 1 to 2 is equal to m into u 2 minus u 1, assuming it to be a stationary system. No information is given about the changes in kinetic and potential energies of the system. So, we are assuming it to be a stationary one. In this particular case, therefore, Q 1 to 2 is how much? 2 kilojoule, but that is negative because it is lost to the surrounding. So, minus 2 into 10 cube, this much of joule, minus W 1 to 2 is equal to, mass is given as 0.05 into u 2 minus u 1. Your values are there. So, for state 2 this is your u 2, for state 1 this is your u 1. From there, if you do the calculation, your W output during the process will be coming to be equal to 8.8 kilojoule. So, this is the work produced by the system, or okay, let us stick to our standard convention. So, during the process W 1 to 2, that is 8.8 kilojoules is the amount of work produced during the process. Now, how much is the corresponding useful work output? Because there will be something lost to the surrounding, the system is expanding, there is change in the volume, and therefore, there will be some amount of surrounding work. Therefore, W useful will be equal to work produced by the system minus the surrounding work. And how can we calculate the surrounding work? Surrounding work will be equal to surrounding pressure into the change in the volume, that is V 2 minus V 1. So, P naught, and we can write this one as small v 2 minus small v 1, and again if you put the numbers, then your useful work output will be coming to be equal to 5.3 kilojoule. So, this is the useful work that you are getting from the system, and during this process these are the exergy values. Okay. This is your initial exergy that is supplied to the system, this is the final exergy the system is retaining, and during the process this is the amount of useful work output that you are getting. Then how much is the exergy destruction? If you write an exergy balance equation now, then amount of we can always write exergy in minus exergy out plus exergy destroyed is equal to 0 for a system under steady state condition like in this particular case. So, in this particular case we shall be having x 1, okay, I should write this as minus exergy destruction because exergy is always destroyed, entropy is generated, x 1 minus x2, and we have this useful work produced to be equal to the exergy destruction. You can put the numbers here, and this should be coming to be equal to 4.3 kilojoule. So, this is the final amount of exergy destruction that we are getting for this particular process. Actually, this problem we could have solved using the concept of entropy as well, because we know that exergy destruction is equal to T naught into entropy generation, and if we want to calculate that way, your exergy destruction will be T naught into S generation, and how much will be the entropy generation in this particular case? So, that will be equal to T naught into S2 minus S1, the change in entropy of the system, plus the heat loss to the surrounding by T naught, and if you put the numbers again, this one also should give you 4.3 kilojoule, the essentially proving that we can solve the process following either this approach or following this approach. So, this is a very good problem where we have used probably all the concept of thermodynamics that we have talked about, the concept of entropy generation, the concept of exergy, and also the use of thermodynamic property tables. Now, there are 2 points that I would like to emphasize here. Point number 1, that you may try to compare 2 different data tables, or I should say the same data table taken from 2 different sources, and occasionally you may find there are some differences in the values that are given here. All these values, there may be small differences in this. The reason for this is actually for calculating these values, some reference has to be chosen. If you just think about what we discussed in the second module, where we develop the thermodynamic property relations, you can remember that we always develop relations as du equal to something, dh equal to something, or ds equal to something, means we are always talking about the change in the properties. In any kind of cycle analysis or process evaluation also, we always have to be bothered about the changes in these properties, and hence there is always some reference that has to be chosen while providing these absolute numbers. Now, the common choice for which these tables has been derived in the or developed in the book of Cengel and Boles, for what are the common choice of temperature is 0.01 degree Celsius, and common pressure is the atmospheric pressure. Now, did it ring something, this particular temperature value 0.01 degree Celsius? It is the triple point of water. So, commonly we take this triple point temperature as a reference. However, if someone develops a table choosing some other temperature as reference, there will be some difference in these values. Similar data tables are always available for any other substances as well. Here we have discussed everything and solved all the problems in relation to water, but we could have solved in terms of any other property also. They have their own choice of reference. For example, if we are talking about R134A, that uses a reference of -40 degrees Celsius. Similarly, everything has a reference temperature of their own, and the choice of reference may vary from one source to another source for the same table, leading to small changes in numbers. However, the difference between, like if you see the expressions for this x1 and x2, here we are always calculating u1 minus u0, and thereby negating the effect of the choice of reference for this. So, we absolute value may change, but our choice of reference being the same, we hardly have to bother about the choice of reference in practical thermodynamic calculations. So, that is one of the aspect, and the other aspect where I would like to take you back to the very objective of having this particular module. What is the need of discussing about all these tables or learning the use of these tables? Because in the previous module we have developed these general relations du, dh, ds, etc., and we know that once we have the PVT relationship for a given substance, then we can easily calculate the changes in these properties during a particular process. But the problem is that in most of the situations, the PVT relationship is not known, or maybe too complicated to perform any kind of mathematical manipulation, and that is why we have to go for this direct use of the thermodynamic property tables. Now, as long as we are dealing with the compressed liquid or saturated mixture states, that is fine, but for superheated vapor states, the use of the table sometimes is quite inconvenient, because you have seen that for every pressure we may have a different table for the superheated vapor, like couple of them are already shown on the screen here for 1 megapascal and 0.2 megapascal. Similarly, for every pressure we can have a different thermodynamic table, and you may encounter a situation where you may have 200 kilopascal and 400 kilopascal tables available, but no table for 300 or 350 kilopascal, but you actually need to calculate the properties corresponding to 350 kilopascal. Then you may have to either approximate something, take the average for two tables, or may have to go for some kind of interpolation between the 200 and 400 kilopascal values, which again are error prone. So, for the gaseous part stage particularly, at least the superheated vapor stage, it would have been much more easier if we can found some suitable PVT relationship to work with, and that is why we quite often of course, the tables are available with us, but even when the tables are available, we may go for devising some kind of equation of state to check whether these equations are capable of giving values comparable to the table. If they are able to give, then there is no replacement for the equation of state. We can just avoid using such bulky tables and directly use the small equations. And the simplest possible equation of state that we can have for the gases is the ideal gas equation of state. Now, ideal gas equation of state is very well known to you. You must have heard about the experiments performed by Robert Boyle centuries back, when he observed that at low pressure level, as we approach vacuum, the pressure of any substance, or if I write in terms of specific volume, is inversely proportional to pressure. Similarly, the experiment of J. Charles and J. Gay-Lucas have shown that at low pressure levels, at least, specific volume is directly proportional to the absolute temperature. So, if these two are combined, then we can write V is proportional to T upon P, or introducing a constant of proportionality, V is equal to R T upon P, whereas the constant of proportionality, or P V equal to R T, the very well celebrated form of the ideal gas equation of state. This is called the ideal gas equation of state because this is actually a very much idealization. When the gas density is quite low, then the gases follow this one quite accurately. Certain gases like hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, all the inert gases etc., under common atmospheric conditions follow this within 1% accuracy. However, substances like high pressure steam, carbon dioxide, refrigerants, they hardly follow this one under normal atmospheric condition, and that is why this one may not be most accurate for those kind of scenarios. Now, there are several alternative form for these equations also available, but here it is important to note that this R is gas constant, which is a characteristic of every gaseous substance. Every substance has its own value of R, whereas R bar, occasionally also written as RU, is the universal gas constant, which is an universal constant. Now, what is the value of the universal gas constant? This is equal to 8.314 kilojoule per kilomole Kelvin, whereas the SI unit for R is kilojoule per kg Kelvin. Be very careful about these units. For ideal gas, for universal gas constant, it is kilomole in the denominator, whereas we have kg in the denominator for the gas constant. Now, what is the relation between the two? R is defined as R bar by m, m being the molecular weight. What is the unit of molecular weight? Molecular weight refers to the mass of the substance which contains number of molecules equal to the Avogadro's number. Now, what is the unit of this? Here we are talking about a mass, that is kg per kilomole. So, kg per kilomole is the unit for m, from where we derive this unit for R. R is R bar by m. Accordingly, every substance has their own values. You know the value of R bar. So, once you know the molecular weight of a substance, you can easily calculate the value of the gas constant for that substance. And using this relation, we can develop several alternative forms of this equation of state as well. Like suppose we have PV equal to RT. If we multiply both sides with mass, that is we write P equal to m into V is equal to mRT. So, what is m into small v? That is total volume. So, P into capital V is equal to mRT, another quite common form of the ideal gas equation of state. Another form is sometimes used where we use the universal gas constant. We know that R bar is equal to R into M. Now, if we use the relation for this here, P V is equal to R T, that is P V is equal to, using the definition of R, we have R bar M T P into small v into M R bar T, where M is the molecular weight, capital M, and R bar is a universal gas constant. But instead of using this way, if we multiply this equation now, both sides of this equation with mass again. So, we are writing M into small v is equal to small m by capital M into R bar T. Now, small m is the mass of the substance and capital M is the molecular weight, which is mass per unit mole. Then what this one will be? This will be equal to N R bar T, where N is the number of moles involved, that is P into capital V is equal to N R bar T. So, this is another alternate form of the ideal gas equation of state written in terms of the universal gas constants. So, all these three forms which I have surrounded in square brackets, they are equivalent to each other, and you can use any one of them. In fact, sometimes we also write in another alternate form, where we express this one as V bar is equal to R bar T, where this V bar is nothing but capital V by N, that is the molar specific volume or specific volume per unit mole. Like commonly we define specific volume as volume per unit mass, but here we are talking about volume per unit mole. This V bar symbol that we have to use in subsequent slides, that is why I am introducing it here. So, this is the ideal gas equation of state, very simple form, very easy to use, and if it is applicable for any substance, then just from the knowledge of pressure and temperature we can easily calculate the volume of that, or vice versa. Say for example, if we take the example of nitrogen, let us say I have given you nitrogen at a condition of 300 Kelvin and the corresponding volume is 0.01 meter cube. Then you have been asked to calculate the pressure of nitrogen at this condition. Then how can you do it? Using the ideal gas relation, we have P V is equal to R T, or P is equal to R T by V. Now, T and V are given here. T is 300 Kelvin. You have to always remember this ideal gas equation of state, this T is absolute temperature. Like in the previous thermodynamic tables, we are using T in Celsius, but here you have to use T in absolute unit, that is in Kelvin as per SI unit. Now, T is 300 kilopascal, V is given as 0.01, and what is R for nitrogen? Now, R for nitrogen will be equal to R bar, which is 8.314 into 10 to the power 3 divided by molecular weight of nitrogen, which is approximately 28. Okay, let me check from the table. I have the table with me. So, the same table that I showed in the previous class, and here also I am showing snapshot of this table only. So, for nitrogen, its exact molecular weight is 28.013 kg per kilomole. So, if we calculate this, then R for nitrogen will be coming to be 0.2968. So, 0.2968 kilojoule per kg Kelvin. So, the pressure will be equal to 0.2968 into 10 cube, that is for R, into 300 kilopascal divided by 1 into 10 to the power minus 2, which is the specific volume, and then this much of Pascal, because we have converted everything to SI unit. Now, you can do the calculation, you can check whatever numbers you are getting for this. This way we can easily use the ideal gas equation of state, but the problem is that, as I have mentioned, this is found to be more or less accurate only when we are dealing with very low density gases. As the gas density keeps on increasing, means we are moving to higher pressures or lower temperatures, it starts to deviate. Means as long as density is low, that means pressure is low or temperature is high, ideal gas equation of state has been found to be quite accurate. But in other condition, that is not the case. That is even better understood by following this table. Here On this table we are showing a TV diagram, the very standard TV diagram for water. So, you can see all the horizontal constant pressure lines are shown. These pink lines are constant pressure lines which are horizontal inside the dome, but then they keeps on increasing, like this is for 100 kilopascal, this is for 5 megapascal. This way we have several constant pressure lines, and whatever values shown at correspond to different nodal points like 20.8 here, this 0.01 here, these actually are the error if we use the ideal gas relation, or here these values, this error that has been calculated here is V actual minus V calculated following the ideal gas equation divided by V actual mod of that into 100%. This is the error, these numbers are shown like this 17.3 here, 6.0 and 7.6 here, etc. Now, look at this table carefully, or all these error values. Here error values are all shown for a given pressure starting from the saturated vapor state to very high temperature levels. Like for 100 kilopascal, if we follow the 100 kilopascal line, this is a saturated vapor state where you can see there is a 1.6% error. As you are moving up, here we are having around 200 degrees Celsius, we are having an error of 0.5%, and as you are moving up at 500 degrees Celsius, the error is 0.1%. So, as you are moving to higher temperature, the error is reducing. So, it is more logical to use the ideal gas equation of state. Similarly, if we follow any other line, say for 1 megapascal, so error is about 7.6 and 6% at the saturated, 7.6% at the saturated vapor state and 6% with small increase in temperature, but once we go to that 500 degrees Celsius, it is only 0.8%. So, if at that 500 degrees Celsius, if we are using the ideal gas equation to estimate the property of or specific volume of water vapor using ideal gas equation of state, that will introduce less than 1% error. That means, for the pink zone shown here on this side of the dotted line, here the error being quite low, this is the zone for which we can use the ideal gas equation of state even for water vapor as well for estimating its properties or specific volume. However, if we are operating on the left hand side of the same diagram, the errors are quite high. Errors can be in the range of 20%, 17%, even 56%. So, extremely large errors we are talking about, and therefore, we should not use the ideal gas equation of state in these particular zones. Now, where the error is the most largest, if you observe carefully, I have mentioned in the previous slide, for low density cases we can go for ideal gas equation of state. Low density means high pressure, low pressure, high temperature, and following any constant pressure line, we can see as we are going to higher temperatures, error is reducing. Like for 600 degrees Celsius, error becomes virtually 0 for these pressure levels. However, when you are moving to, say, we have gone to a pressure level of 10 megapascal, then you can say even at 600 degrees Celsius also, the 10 megapascal line shows a 5% error in the value of specific volume, which is quite large error. So, as we are moving to higher pressures, we are getting very poor result with the use of ideal gas equation. We should not use ideal gas equation of state in this zone, but we definitely can use in this particular site. So, we can use the ideal gas equation of state in term only when we are dealing with a very low density gas, that is at high temperature and low pressure. But high temperature means exactly how much high, and low pressure means exactly how much low, that is something that we have to quantify. And also this is shown here for water vapor, but the same is applicable for any kind of gaseous substance like common non condensable gases like hydrogen and oxygen to much common refrigerant vapors, etc. We have to define some kind of common criterion, and to define that criterion we use something known as the compressibility factor. To define the compressibility, we define a modified equation of state as PV equal to ZRT, or Z is equal to PV upon RT. This Z is called the compressibility factor. Now, if we compare this one with the ideal gas equation of state where we had PV equal to RT. Now, for this case, how much is your Z? Definitely Z equal to 1. So, when you use Z equal to 1, we are talking about an ideal gas equation of state, and so if the at a particular state point, if the value of z is quite close to 1, you can use ideal gas equation of state for that substance, but if z is far away from 1, it is not logical to use that. There is an alternate definition for z also we can use, like if we write these two equations properly, we should write P into V actual is equal to Z R T and P into V ideal is equal to R T, or V ideal is equal to R T upon P. So, Z is equal to V actual by R T upon P, that is V actual by V ideal. Again, when Z is equal to 1, the actual specific volume is reasonably close to ideal specific volume or specific volume calculated following the ideal gas equation of state, but when Z is veering away from 1, this actual specific volume also keeps on changing rapidly from that ideal value for this. So, we can easily say that for ideal gas Z is equal to 1, for real gases which do not truly follow the ideal gas equation of state, your Z can be both greater than 1 or less than 1, and in some very restricted cases can be quite close to 1, where we can blindly go for the ideal gas equation of state. But when or when should we use this ideal gas equation of state and when not, that we have to identify, and for that we are using something known as the generalized compressibility chart. The chart shown here is called the generalized compressibility chart, because this chart has been prepared not only for water, but for all these substances that are listed here. Before going to the description of the chart, I would like to define two parameters. One is PR, P subscript R, this is called the reduced pressure, and it is defined as the prevailing pressure divided by the critical pressure of that substance. Similarly, we can define a reduced temperature TR as T upon T critical, again it is the reduced. So, both pressure and temperature at a given state point have been divided by the corresponding critical values, basically to non-dimensionalize themselves, because PR and TR will be non-dimensional, and from there we are going to find some kind of generalization, generalized behavior. Look at this chart, you have Z on the vertical axis, here P V, this V is actual V. So, P V actual by R T is Z, and you have reduced pressure in the horizontal axis, and each of these pink lines that are shown, each of them corresponds to one particular value of TR, like the one that has circle, that is corresponding to TR equal to 2, this is equal to TR for 1.2, this for TR equal to 1. This way we can get different kind of lines, and we can come below TR equal to 1 as well if required. Now, look at the values. If your system or your gaseous substance is following the ideal gas equation of state, then what should be the value of Z? Z should be equal to 1. So, this is your Z equal to 1. That means, if the line is following or if your substance with change in pressure is following this particular line, then it is quite close to the ideal gas behavior. But that is not happening. Under certain condition it is reasonably close to that, but under certain condition it is far away from this, like these ranges, they are having extremely small Z values, far away from 1, and therefore, if we suppose put a criterion that as long as Z is restricted up to 0.9, then we can use the ideal gas equation of state, then you can see we are having that limit, that is Z greater than 0.9 only for extremely low value of this reduced pressure. For very low value of reduced pressure, it is quite close to that 1, means only in this particular group it is reasonably close to it is reasonably close to 1, where the reduced pressure is extremely small compared to the critical pressure. So, one case we can find, there are two situations actually we can identify when we can use the ideal gas equation of state. Your case number 1, where this reduced pressure is approaching 0, it is extremely small, or if instead of approaching 0, if we write the reduced pressure is extremely small compared to the critical pressure, then there is a situation we are getting where the pressure the Z is quite close to 1, independent of whatever temperature. The second criterion is based upon the temperature. you can see when the TR is equal to 2, the entire line, means I am talking about this particular line, the entire graph is reasonably close to 1. Even for small to large pressure values, I do not think the PR is ever reducing, sorry, the Z is ever reducing below 0.95. So, throughout this entire pressure range, it is able to maintain specific volume values quite close to the ideal specific volume values quite close to the ones calculated following the ideal gas equation of state. So, when the temperature or TR is very high, then there is a possibility that we can use the ideal gas equation of state. So, the second criteria is TR greater than 2, or maybe we can say greater equal to 2. So, PR greater equal to or PR very small that is much less than 1, this is true for any temperature, whereas TR greater equal to 2, that more or less true for any kind of pressure values. So, these are the two situations for which we can use the ideal gas equation of state, but if your state point is veering away from that, this is not suggested to use the ideal gas equation of state, rather it will be better to identify something else. So, this is the condition that I have summarized as the pressure keeps on reducing, that is the number of gas molecules available in a given volume keeps on reducing, it approaches the ideal gas behavior, which is the criterion that we have identified, where PR is much less than 1 for any temperature. The second criterion is this, where the temperature is very high, like it is in this particular range, TR generally greater equal to 2, we can use this. But the largest deviation, if you just quickly go back to the previous slide, you can see the largest deviations are happening around this particular line, that is when PR is equal to 1, and again that if I am on the temperature line, the one showing largest deviation is equal to TR equal to 1. So, the deviation is the largest close to the critical point. So, when you are far away from the critical point and it is being satisfied this criterion, you can use the ideal gas equation of state, but when you are reasonably close to the critical point somewhere here, then you should not use the ideal gas equation of state. Then what to use? One option is to make use of the generalized compressibility chart, that is from the generalized compressibility chart we can calculate the values as shown in this diagram. We can calculate the Z values and we can compare with the measured values. Like here in the exercise I am talking about R134A. The specific volume R134 has to be determined for this condition of 1 megapascal and 50 degree Celsius using the ideal gas equation of state and also using the generalized compressibility chart. The real value is given to be this much, we have to check how much error both of the approaches are giving. Now, this is a table that I have copied, again a part of the table. Here this is your molecular weight, this is the value of R, this is critical temperature, this is critical pressure, and this is specific volume corresponding to the critical point, which is not required for our case. So, for R134A you have this as critical temperature 374.2. Okay. Here critical temperature is given in Kelvin, critical pressure is given in megapascal. So, it is 4.059 megapascal. So, we have to calculate following either of the approaches. So, if we follow approach number 1, specific volume following ideal gas equation of state will be equal to RT by P. Here your P is equal to 1 into 10 to the power 6 Pascal, T is equal to 50 degree Celsius, we should convert that to SI unit, which will be coming as 323.15 Kelvin, and R from the table 0.08149 kilojoule per kg Kelvin. So, if you put the numbers here, I have pre-calculated the value for you. Here your ideal value will be coming as 0.026325, but actual one is 0.021796. So, corresponding error will be V actual minus V ideal by V actual mod of this into 100%, it will be somewhere in the range of 20.8%. So, a very large error that we are talking about. And if we compare this in terms of our criterion, you can see the temperature that you are talking about, that is actually in this case your TR is less than 1 and we need to have TR greater than 2. So, and what about PR? Here your PR is 1 by 4.059. So, roughly around 0.25, not that small as well. So, neither of the criteria are being satisfied. So, we should not use the ideal gas equation of state, and even if we use, you can see it is inducing such large amount of error. Then what about the compressibility chart? So, we calculate PR as I have just done there, 1 by 4.059. Actually, I have the number calculated here, that is 0.246. TR is equal to 323.15 by 374.2, and this is coming to be something like 0.863. So, if you put them in the generalized compressibility chart that I have shown, your Z will be coming roughly 0.84. Correspondingly, V actual will be equal to Z RT by P, and final value will be coming as 0.022113. You can compare this one with the real value given, which will be giving you approximately 2% error. So, a significant reduction in the error value by choosing the compressibility factor Z. So, this is one of the approaches by which we can calculate the actual specific volume using the generalized compressibility chart, but here again we are using a chart. Then the second approach that is possible is to develop a real gas equation of state which takes care of all the shortcomings of the ideal gas equation of state, and thereby making it directly integratable to apply the generalized thermodynamic property relations. So, there are several real gas equation of state defined. You can say theoretically infinite number of such equations exist. We shall be talking only about 3 of them here very quickly. The first one of them that you already know, the van der Waals equation of state. Truly speaking, I should have written this V to be small v, because that is the way they write. The van der Waals equation of state, you know the form, this is a standard format. It takes care of 2 important shortcomings of the ideal gas equation of state. One is ideal gas equation of state completely neglect the intermolecular forces. This A upon V square, A being a constant, is a term which is used to encounter the equation, the intermolecular forces somehow. And secondly, the ideal gas equation of state neglects the volume of the gas molecules itself. That has been compensated here by this term small b. Now, just think about the conditions for which ideal gas equation of state can be applicable. Very low pressure means the number of molecules will be extremely small compared to the volume that we are dealing with, and therefore, we can virtually neglect the volume of the molecules and also the intermolecular attraction. The same thing is applicable when you go to very high temperatures. However, when you are operating not operating at these conditions, that is PR extremely small and TR greater than 2, then they should be considered, which is done in this van der Waals equation of state. Now, how to get the value of this A and B? There is a mathematical way of doing this. This graph I have shown earlier also. You know that on the PV plane, the isotherm corresponding to critical temperature shows a point of inflection at the critical point, such that we can write dou P dou V at T equal to T critical is equal to 0, and even its second derivative is also 0, T is equal to T critical is equal to 0. These 2 equations can be used to develop the values of this A and B for a given state point. Like from here we can write P is equal to RT upon V minus B minus A upon V square if we use this, suppose if we differentiate this once corresponding to t equal to t critical, then what we are going to get? We have v minus b in the denominator. So, it will be minus r t critical v minus b whole square plus twice a v cube is equal to 0. Similarly, if we differentiate this for once more, then it will be 2 r t critical by v minus b whole cube minus 6 a by v to the power 4 is equal to 0. So, if we combine these equations and eliminate specific volume from here, then actually you are going to get these two expressions for A and B, where we are using ideal gas equation or ideal gas values. Here one important thing that I am leaving it to you to do the mathematical relation. Please try to develop these relations for A and B. One hint is that you have to remove specific volume from here and somehow introduce the pressure corresponding to the critical point. So, you will be getting the expressions for A and B like this, where the critical point pressure and temperature values are involved and also the value of R. So, this way once we know the critical point values, you can easily calculate the value of A and B. Now, Van der Waals gas equation of state, that is not very accurate as well, definitely more accurate compared to the ideal gas equation of state, but it has its own inconsistencies leading to the development of more advanced relations like this one. The Beatty-Bridgman equation of state is one of the most popular one. This is the format shown for this, where capital A and capital B leads to two further equations. Here note this V bar, this V bar is specific volume, sorry, the total volume divided by number of moles. So, how many constants you can identify in this? Like in the Van der Waals equation of state, you had two, A and B. How many you can see here? We have a C here, then we have a small a, small b, a naught and b naught, 5 constants involved here, and this is one of the examples of the constants for different gases shown here. This Beatty-Bridgman equation of state is quite accurate, at least as long as the density rho critical is less equal to 0.8. This is quite accurate. An even more accurate equation of state can be this Benedict-Webb-Rubin equation of state, where the form is this, which involves 8 constants like this table is showing. It is found to be accurate for rho critical up to or 2.5. So, it is a very large range of temperature we are talking about, temperature and pressure for this. And of course, it is much more complicated, like there are several others also. You can talk about the Strourbridge equation of state, which actually involves 16 constants, that is therefore very difficult for manual calculation, but very suitable for computerization. We would like to close up this module by checking one example of using this equation of state. So, here our condition is where we have to calculate the pressure of nitrogen at T equal to 175 Kelvin and specific volume is given. Using the ideal gas equation of state, the Van der Waals equation of state, Beatty-Bridgman equation of state and the Benedict-Webb-Rubin equation of state. And it has been found that the experimentally measured value is 10 megapascal. So, you have to compare for each of the cases. Now, this is the situation for the nitrogen. You have this as the value of R for nitrogen, temperature critical temperature 126.2, critical pressure 3.39 megapascal. So, let us calculate following the first approach. For ideal gas equation of state, PV is equal to RT or P is equal to RT upon V. Here R is given as 0.2968 into 10 to the power 3 into temperature here is 175 divided by specific volume actual one 00375, and your calculation will be giving you 13.851 megapascal, where the true value is supposed to be 10 megapascal, a humongous amount of 38.51% error. and that is logical also. You can see critical temperature is 126 Kelvin and this temperature is 175 Kelvin. So, we are not talking about a very large value of Tr. Tr is only just above 1. If we follow the Van der Waals equation of state now, for this you have to compute the A and B first. So, A is equal to, just shown in the previous slide, 27 R square T critical square by 64 P critical. B will be equal to R into T critical by 8 into P critical. So, you can calculate the values. If you put them, the numbers, it will be coming as 0.175, this will be coming as 0.00138 meter cube per kg. Now, B has a unit of specific volume only, because we know that P plus A upon V square into V minus B is equal to RT. So, B and B is having the same unit of specific volume, but what will be the unit of this A? The unit for A should be A upon V square should have the unit of pressure. So, unit should be equal of P into V square, that is if you expand this, it will be coming as kilopascal into meter to the power 6 by kg square by expanding it, or you can write in terms of pressure unit as well. So, if you calculate following this, your P will be coming roughly to be 9471, or I should say 9.471 megapascal. So, it is coming lower than the true value, but still a less amount of error, approximately 5.3% error. The constants required for the Beatty-Bridgman equation of state and Benedict-Webb-Rubin equation of states are given in the previous slides for nitrogen. You can put the numbers there and try to calculate. I am just giving you the final result. For the Beatty-Bridgman equation of state, your P will be coming to be a merely 10.11 megapascal. So, how much is the error? It is extremely small. You have only 1.1% error. Whereas, if you use the third one, the Benedict-Webb-Rubin, then in this case your P will be coming to be 10.009 megapascal. That means, we are talking about something in the range of 0.09% error. So, definitely this one, or I should say this Benedict-Webb-Rubin equation of state is much more accurate compared to the others, but again that is much more complicated as well, because it involves 8 constants for this. This way you can find a few other equation of states as well in your textbooks. For there are several specific equations developed for specific applications for specific substances as well, but the ones that I have discussed here, the Van der Waals equation of state, the Beatty-Bridgman equation of state and the Benedict-Webb-Rubin equation of state are generally applicable for a wide variety of gases. So, that takes us to the end of our module number 3, where we discussed about the pure substance and the liquid vapor phase change processes involved with pure substance. From where we developed the property diagrams, PV and TV diagrams. Then we involve the solid phase into that as well to get the idea of the triple point and the critical point. Then we talked about the calculation of the properties using the tables for saturated liquid vapor mixtures and superheated vapor and compressed liquids, and solved several numerical problems. And then today we discussed about the use of the generalized compressibility chart to calculate the specific volume of gaseous states when the ideal gas equation state is not applicable. We have also derived the condition for which we can develop or we should use the ideal gas equation of state and the conditions for which we should not. And finally, discussed about different types of real gas equation of state, and there we have seen that the Benedict-Webb-Rubin equation of state is much accurate compared to the others discussed here. So, that is it for the third module of our course. You are now in a position to identify the properties of any substance, because in the second module we developed generalized relation for calculation of properties, and in this third module we have learned about the use of both equation of states and the general property tables to calculate or to get the values of relevant thermodynamic properties. So, with this background, now in the next week we shall be going to the discussion of relevant thermodynamic cycles. Till then, you do your exercise repeat the or revise the lectures, and if you have any query, please write back to me. Thank you.